Take. I'm your host, Susie Talmanchuk, along with James Caps. How are you today, James?
Fantastic. I'm wearing my fun summer bowling shirt. I'm all about the howdy today. So I'm very excited to be here.
All right, Howdy's here with us today. So thank you, Howdy. So I have a story for you, James.
Yeah,
I was talking to an executive this week, and she's been kind of struggling with her confidence. And we realized that it stemmed from the fact that she oversees an organization where they do a lot of reporting for the organization, they handle financials, they do a lot of things that allow the company to understand how the business is doing.
sure.
And she
hmm
doesn't have that background. And she's finding that her people are like, "Are you a good leader if you don't know what we do every day?" And so we
So
had to kind of
interesting.
reframe the narrative for her. What questions do you have for me?
Yeah, I think that I think the question is really, as a leader, you have to think about what you bring to the table, right? And that reminds me of when I started as CTO as a small custodian here in Denver. I walked in to the first staff meeting, and they handed me this coffee stained, dog eared piece of paper that had all the root passwords on it for the servers, so I could have it. And I said, "Look, that's not who I am. That's not the kind of leader I am. I'm not going to log in to the system. That's just not what I bring to the table." And sometimes it is hard for a leader to lead people that have a certain skill set and think that you should have that skill set
Yeah.
too. And I think as leaders, we have to look at the space we're in, and sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, I think in that space for me is like, how tech savvy did I need to be as a CTO? Do
Yeah.
I need to be able to do that kind of stuff? And I think that's just a really good topic for us to maybe touch on today is like, how tech savvy do leaders need to be? And I don't mean just CTOs. There's clearly a different level of acumen there, but at the C level, at the senior executive level, how tech savvy do they need to be?
Yeah, and it's an important thing to just think about, even if you're lower in the organization as you're moving up, is
hmm
where are those next steps and what competencies do you have that you can raise your hand and say, yes, I want this next role. So tell us what you
Right.
think. Like, how has your experience informed your three things that you're going to share with us today?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, it's again, this isn't about having the skills to do your job. That's not what we're talking about here. Like if your job is to run financial reports and you can't do it, that's a straight up problem. But if you're a senior leader in an organization, let's say
Yeah.
you're in HR, let's say you're in finance, do you need to be very technically savvy? And I would argue, that the answer is yes. That in general, the tech savviness is essential for a good leader. And let me tell you how I frame that. First and foremost, we are all people leaders. Senior leaders are people
Yeah.
leaders first and foremost. And a lot of what our employees do in their daily lives, normal employee daily lives, is technology driven. We can talk about social media. We can talk about mobile phones. Just the really the acceleration and fuel that the pandemic gave us. Our employees have more technology at their fingertips and are using technology more than any generation or group of people before. And you, as a leader, need to appreciate that. And so I'll bet you, no matter what, today, right now, as we're talking, Congress is discussing whether or not to ban TikTok. If your employees are using TikTok, they're talking about this. This means something to them. And so you, as
Yeah.
a leader, it's important that you understand that technology impacts your employees.
Yeah. So then how do you do that? If that is not kind of your mainstream, what do you do to have enough knowledge that is contextual to your employees? What do you do?
Well, I think it's important that you just are not pushing away from that space, being aware of, and this is really it
Okay.
could be technology, it could be what's going on with food prices, it could be going on with you know rail strikes or traffic. You need to be in tune with what is affecting your employees. I think it's actually embarrassing and disheartening when I hear a senior person make some sort of silly comment like, "Well, you all are on the talkity tick." I'm like, that's clever and sounds cute, but what that really means is you're just out of touch with lots of
Yeah.
things. And while
Yeah.
you might get a short-term laugh, that means you really don't appreciate who I am as a person and what I do. I don't
Yeah.
expect you to understand, the weird little, side things that people are involved in, some weird band or some weird book. But things that are largely impacting society, I think you have a responsibility to stay in touch with.
Okay, that's fair. So, do you have three things that you want people to think about?
Well, I think there's three reasons that you need to do that. I think one is that yes, it impacts your employees. Two, that your products aren't being impacted by technology, whether you like it or not. I always compare. I like to talk about the financial industry in the sense that for so long, a lot of products were seen excellent because they were compared to other crappy financial industry products, and a lot of people had nothing to compare it to. Well, suddenly, when a lot of people had access to Facebook and feel like, well, wait a minute, it spell checks when I type. Why can't my financial application do that? Or I think maybe in the cable industry, nobody hated the old guide until they saw what a real guide could be on the computer. And
Yeah.
so there is this when you level up your customers, you have no choice. You have to become technology savvy for your customers. Um,
Yeah.
and then third, I think it's super important to think about the risk that technology brings to an organization. You know, that the advancement, the risk, the what 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 technology can do for you in HR, what technology can do for you in security, what technology can do for you in finance. You have to be in touch with that. And it can either be one of two things. It can be a time saving. It can be a competitive disadvantage. You could be falling behind, or you could simply be not being doing your work right. And so to not really evaluate what technology can do for your vertical, I think is a big mistake.
Yeah. Okay. So I love these. And so I was thinking about how can I bring some of this back to my client? And I think the applicability here is you don't have to understand all the details of what they do every day, but understand what's important to them.
That's
Show
right.
them that in a lot of different ways and how it relates to the overall business, but help them also appreciate how your strengths in being able to see a broader view of the organization helps
Hmm.
them do what they do every day so that she can kind of
Absolutely, absolutely.
balance that.
Yeah, I think in this case, it's so important for her to appreciate how difficult it is for her people to do their job because of the tech. Maybe the technology they're using is outdated. Maybe the technology they're using actually is risky and doesn't give them control of what they're trying to do. She should understand that. And then she should have a dialogue that says, look, that's outside of my wheelhouse. I don't know how to do that, but I appreciate it enough to try to help you do your jobs better.
Yeah.
And then maybe her pivot is, you know what, I'm going to start looking into technology that eliminates the stuff you're doing that's so hard. Maybe we should buy a new advanced product that eliminates that weirdness so everybody can do it. How do I commoditize the work that you are doing, or not commoditize? How do I simplify that work? How do I make it so everybody in the company can run those reports? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
So that understanding of technologies in her example there is great because A, it's about her employees, my number
Yep.
one, and about the risk and the tools to the business, number three.
Nice. Nice. Thank you for this. This is, I think, a really important thing to kind of zoom out and consider. So I love that context to that. So thank you, James.
You bet. It's a good topic. I love, I'm a technology dork at heart, so I'm always a big fan to talk about it.
You are, howdy, I should say, James. Well, thank you so much for that, James. And thanks for joining us. We appreciate, we get so much feedback from all of you. If this was an important one that you felt really helped you understand technology and the importance of it, feel free to share it with your team, talk about it, and really use that to bridge those communications as well. So, this has been Quick Take. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.